So, welcome everyone to the
after church tea time.
Thank you. And we're going to discuss about the sermon today, tithing, which was a very juicy one. And today we have here Fabian, Sandra, and Lisi. And we're going to just go deeper together and see what's coming up. And of course, like if you have something that you want to communicate or ask, just write in the comments below and we're just going to read them and have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So who would like to go first?
Yeah.
Would you like to go first?
Not necessarily. I think like Fabian has something to share first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just, processing this wonderful service and sermon. And I'm extremely happy about a sermon specifically about tithing, because believe it or not, I have been thinking about tithing recently, and I have also had like discussions with a few people surrounding me if tithing is a good idea. And I had a few questions about this, and I was researching stuff about tithing online and what it is and how people do it, but there were still some questions I had, and so consciousness, answered these questions through Jeff and Shaleia today, which is amazing. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of peace and relief here.
Nice.
Yeah, what was the clarity that you were seeking and you received from the sermon today?
Well, a very practical question was, do I tithe before or after taxes? And now I know that it's the first thing you do from your complete income, that you give 10% and donate it to the church. And so it is before taxes. And they also explain, of course, why you do it. And it's because in this way you put God first in your finances.
Yeah, I really love that as well. Like I didn't saw it like that beforehand, but when they said it, like it was really a deep clarity. Like, oh yeah, like how couldn't I have seen this before? It's like just putting God first. And because I know I was researching about this too. When do you tithe, before or after the taxes? But right now it's clear as day. You always put God first, so therefore.
Yeah, it's your choice to put God first in your finances. That's reflecting into tithing before taxes. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been a charitable person most of my life, so to me, can you hear me? Okay, so to me, I've been a charitable person most of my life, so I didn't think about that. I just gave from my heart, and regardless, I always get blessed, one form or another.
That's really nice. Thank you for sharing that and doing that, and usually showing how you're just unconditional loving.
Mm-hmm. If I have extra clothes, I take my clothes to Goodwill or Salvation Army. I donate it. If I have furniture I don't want, I donate it also to Goodwill or Salvation Army. Believe me, it always comes back. Whatever I give comes back to me.
Yeah, that's so true, Sandra, because when I started tithing to the Church of Union back in February, taking 10% off the top, and I really appreciate how you brought up, Fabian, how it's before taxes, because actually what you're saying is that you're giving to God first in his system of governance through the church, and you're also saying that you trust God, and that was, several times when I gave to the church, it was a leap of faith financially. I really went deeper in claiming my financial abundance with God, and then also was able to establish my relationship with the church. I really like how Jeff and Shaleia said that when you tithe, you're serving as the financial vessel for God's church. And that they followed with, God must increase your wealth. As if you want, if you give more, then God's going to make it possible for you to give more. And I don't even know where to start here. I was making, a fixed income. It was just enough to survive basically back at the beginning, like back in January. And every month I tithed to the church. And even though it looked like it was going to be tight, God replenished my income. And I was able to give even more the following month, even more the following month, more and more the following month, because my income always increased. And so I was opening to being a channel, a vessel for giving money to God's church. And I always like when Jeff and Shaleia talk about money being like energy, like love, right? Like it's synonymous with those energies. And it's just really, it's opening to love. If you have a block to giving, you have a block to loving as well. It's the same, it's all energy. It's all, based on the same principles that, unionism is based on. So I'd love to go into detail about, my own personal miracles, but I'm just curious, what everyone else is feeling and thinking about, what the meaning of being in a relationship with the church is in that way, with money, because typically we're not taught that, we're not taught explicitly, outwardly, that giving money is having a relationship, although our behavior indicates that, yes, we actually do follow that principle. When you pay for something, you're entering into a relationship. When you give finances, you're entering into a relationship. When you receive something, you're in a relationship. So it's nice to kind of explicitly talk about that and call a spade a spade. Like it's great. So yeah, I wanted to go deeper there if you want to talk about that a little more.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I've been giving my money 10% to the Church of Union, and it's just like Jeff says, it's energy. I'm giving the energy to the church, and the energy comes back to me. That's how I feel my relationship is in the Church of Union. I feel wonderful. I feel blessed.
That's really beautiful. And we know what you're saying. Like we experienced that as well. We shared in the service as well a bit about that. Some of the miracles that happened to us. And it's really beautiful to see them unfold. And as you said, it's like even if you're in a month that it feels tight, actually doing it will bring you so much more that it's unexpected, but coming from a place of love, not from a place like I need to in order to get something, as Shaleia mentioned as well.
Exactly. It's a relationship that's being presented to you. And I love how like Jeff and Shaleia shared about like the first experience with tithing, because was my experience as well. When I started, it was like, oh, this is a big chunk of my money in a way that goes to God, and can I trust it? What's my feelings here? I had to go through some feelings here in order to fully feel, comfortable, into doing that, but in having faith, that, Jeff and Shaleia say that you have to feel good about where the money goes to, right? You have to feel good with your church, right? And they talked about churches in general, not just about the Church of Union here, right? So you have to feel good with the church that you're tithing to, right? So obviously, I feel good with the Church of Union, and we took this step, and our faith was in a way, rewarded. You always receive back, as Lizzie and Sandra said as well. Yeah.
I was always a bit skeptical, and I was thinking that, oh, am I trying to pay God to give me a blessing or something like that, you know, when I tithe. But actually, now I understand it's just a natural relationship between you and God. And I love when Jeff shared that now God, when you tithe, God can use you as a financial vessel for his church. And that's really beautiful, because in that moment I felt God extremely present in my finances and like coming to life, you know, in my finances. And that's, I think, the best thing you can experience in your finances, that basically, hey God, this is a life, and in my work, I do it for you. I dedicate my life and my work to you. And tithing is representative of that. And now God can use you to create beautiful things through you, and because there's this financial support coming through you. And of course, God is going to support you in return, and is going to send you the clients, you know, or give you that promotion, I would say. There will be ways for God to move in your life.
Yeah, I really love that. And it's really beautiful how like you just allow God to come to you and give you more so you can give more to the church. And when you look at it this way, it's pretty logical. Well, if you have a relationship with God here, well, God would want to invest in you more so you can bring more. So it's always a win-win relationship. It's never a win-lose relationship.
That's how the relationship with God is, you know, and this example with tithing just goes in the same way. Like, you're not taking from yourself, or God is not taking from you. Those are just like fears that you might experience while going through the process of maybe starting to tithe, you know, but you can release those, because this is something that I really loved in what Jeff and Shaleia teach. It was like, with God, you always have a win-win situation, right? And you can like have faith in that, have faith that God will come to you. If God is winning from this interaction that you have with him, meaning tithing, then you will win as well. It's a given.
Yep. And if we have any comments.
Yeah, I just asked people watching if they want to share about their experience with tithing or donating to the church. And so far, Liana said that she recently donated, and then God gave her some really fun ideas to support her financially and partner with God deeper. She's saying, I felt very appreciated. That's perfect.
That's really beautiful.
And there's another comment coming in from Pooja. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Hello everyone, I had a question. I had a misaligned thought that giving money means limiting your income. What to do when you're actually looking for work, not working currently, but still want to tithe because it seems like I have nothing to tithe. How to go ahead with this without being greedy? Because in a way it feels that if I want to give, I'm asking for money as well, just like Jeff and Shaleia said, that that it must be done with pure intentions, not in expectation of receiving more. Please clarify this. So I think there were a few points in there that we could maybe address. And I think that the first thing is, I had a misaligned thought that giving money means limiting your income. And well, I can quickly speak to that. When you give money, you're not taking from this limited resource you have. You're not, oh, I have $100 this month, you know, and then I'm taking $10, and so I have only $90 left. Well, that's not how the math works here. It's more like, well, I take $10 from this $100, and I invest it into my finances, so that I take this $10 and these $10 are going to multiply, you know, in the days to come. And then next month, maybe I'm going to have $200, you know? And so I keep investing, basically. It's like trading stock, but it's divine stock, you know?
I think I would also like to recommend to watch the money service that Jeff and Shaleia made, where they address like poverty consciousness, because this thought comes from poverty consciousness, and it will be very helpful for people that struggle with this to maybe rewatch that sermon, revisit it, and see the points that Jeff and Shaleia bring there related to money and your own relationship with money and what that means exactly. Right, because definitely you are not, as Fabian said, a limited being, right? And this is the lie that we believe here, right? That we are maybe limited in some way. And maybe to go deeper, if Fabian, you are finished with your idea, you have to kind of like make a choice to have a relationship here with God and give without expectations, right? So when I shared in the service about me donating about like the Hallelujah song, I never could have imagined that, you know, the angel song is going to come, you know, but I did set in a way like an intention. I said like, God, I want this money to go to the music department in the Church of Union. Like I really had that intention when I donated that money, you know. I like, this is for the music department. I love this, and you know, I'm really like happy, you know. And looked at what it happened. Like I received so much from the music department in the Church of Union, right? And I never knew that's gonna happen. And you have to like see with yourself, you know, because it's a relationship, right? You can like set an intention to your tithing or to your donation, like as I did, you know. So maybe feel what could you desire here from your contribution to the church, right? Because it's a relationship that you have with the church. And this is the beauty of it, because as Jeff and Shaleia discussed about, you know, Daniel and Diana and them becoming ministers and having a little bit like what they are they priests, are they ministers, you know, what's going on, you know? Well, it's a community thing. We can all contribute with our feelings, you know, with our ideas about what's happening, right? And this is also what's happening with the money of the church, right? We don't necessarily have to come to the board and be like, I want this to happen, right? But you can set an intention, right, for your peace here, you know, and you'll feel much better, I feel, in, you know, maybe trusting God, you know, that He will, of course, you give it to God, so God ultimately has a plan for it. But if you want, you know, to invest in something, I feel it's really good to like feel into that and see if like that makes you feel better into donating or tithing.
Exactly, because you have this relationship with God. So therefore, when you invest in that relationship with God, God will give you back through everyone here, through everyone in the Church of Union. It's not about like you going, as Alexander said, to the board. It's going to God, and that's how God works through the board. God works through the church.
Go deeper in your relationship with God.
Thank you both so much. And just I wanted to go a little bit into the church itself. So starting with the vision, you know, Jeff and Shaleia said that the church's purpose is to extend Christ consciousness and union or love into the world. And so knowing that that's the church's vision, you have you can invest in it, just, you know, using the word investment rather than thinking of a donation as like a payment. You're investing in the church and growing it. But I just wanted to share that the church is we have we met our donation goal for last month, and I wanted to break down what so just so that everybody knows how finances are handled in the church. If you're part of a Christian church, you may already be familiar with this, but just so everyone's on the same page, the church board of directors, they are responsible for making all of the decisions for the church's donations. and they work as a team. There's no one person who has all the say and everyone must bow down. This is not like a pope or anything like that, right? It's a board. It's a group of people on the board. And so the board determines where, through inner work, where the church's donations would best serve humanity. How can we extend this love into humanity, where it's going to amplify it the most or extend it the most? And so in a day or two, we're putting up a pie chart on where the donations go so that you can see. It's going to be on the unionism.org website. It's going to be on the donations page, but I can just give you some rough figures. About 40% of all of our donations go into the foundation, which is our savings for a physical structure. So that's a really cool amount. About 20% were going to sermons. About 20% we're going to legal counsel, and that's to set up our church and to get our trademarking and all of that. Like, we have a professional legal support there, and other legal support. And then a small fraction of it is for production. So all of our like services, the videography services, things to promote Ascension coaching into the world. All of our technical services is a very small fraction. So I'm doing my math. Hang on, 40, 20, and 20. Well, it's about another 20%. So did I do that right? I don't have the figures in front of me. Just like 40, 20, and 20. 20, yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. And that will change as well moving forward. So this is your community. And if you would like something in the church, you're welcome to post an idea here in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion and bring it to the board. Hey, this thing would really help the church to expand. How about it? And that's how a few ideas work. In terms of what your donations go to. But I just wanted to, we're very transparent about where the donations go and how they're used and how they're moved forward in humanity.
Thank you for sharing that, Lucy. I have been working within the church, and I have some experiences there, and I can definitely attest to the fact that the donations are very much and highly valued, and the money and the donations is really used in a way that is extremely beneficial and extremely effective. And yeah, it feels very tight. There are no financial leaks. You can really trust that when you give from your heart and you give to the church, that money is going to be invested in a divine way where it has maximum benefit for all involved.
Yep, exactly. I wanted to talk about something that Jeff and Shaleia mentioned in the sermon on when you don't have much, right? Like, God would never want you to experience hardship. And so I really wanted to revisit where Jeff and Shaleia suggested start with 1%, see what happens, then start with 2 and 3 and build, right? Because all relationships are built and expanded and grown and nurtured. A tree starts as a tiny seed, and it's planted in the soil of love. And when you give and give from your heart, just like what Sandra was talking about, like, she's just followed her heart, and that has provided immense spiritual blessing to her. And she wasn't thinking of it to get the blessing, she just wanted to give. When you give from your heart, like, that gift is so precious to God, and that gift grows, and you will be able to give more. And I wanted to share a story about my own tithing experience. I kind of alluded to it. There were moments when I had to do some inner work because I felt afraid. I was like, wow, God has given me so much through living my life purpose and continuing to flow and give. But I reached a point where I had started earning more money through following my divine life purpose than I'd ever experienced in my whole life. Like and more than my parents, right? If I earned the same amount each month and multiplied that by 12 months, I would earn more than my parents. And I was astounded. So I noticed that I felt a little like this kind of feeling like when you climb up a mountain and you look over a vista and you're like, whoa, that's a ways down, you know, like that's kind of how I felt. That feeling came up, and so I started to really go in to my heart and just reassure myself that, you know, God grows. That's natural. You grow. Everything in creation grows and expands, and so it's natural to move forward, and it's not ungrounded. And you know, I started to really give myself that stability. And one of the things that I've been doing is listening to the meditations every day, doing so from a place of ease and not through trying to, like, you know, force the meditations, but they feel different every day. Every day there's a different consciousness coming up, but just other grounding things, because when you do start to commit to giving to the church, your finances will grow with God. It's just naturally going to happen. And so you can start to care for yourself and really choose to ground your finances as you grow. It's like, you know, trees, as they grow, their roots start to deepen and expand beneath the soil too. You're not going to have like a little sapling root in like a, you know, these giant trees that are all around me. So know that you are very cared for and supported as you continue to grow, expand, and give. And you just keep walking with God. But I do want to say, you know, I did have a process of working through some fear when I was giving more and receiving more, and just chose to keep flowing with God, flowing and growing with God. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share there.
Really quickly, I feel like God's investing in me. I invested in God, and I feel God's investing in me. I feel it.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And it's safe for you to see that God is investing in you as well, right? As you, like Lizzie said, like you're going through maybe some fears, you know, and as you go deeper in your relationship with God, it's safe to see how God invests in you and how you can grow and expand in many ways that maybe you didn't thought that were possible, right? And to live your dreams with God. That's beautiful.
I like how Jeff and Shaleia talked about their kitchen, and about, let's see, they said like your goals and the church's goals are one. And so as they elected not to expand in their kitchen at the moment and give to the church, I mean, the kitchen's going to come, but I've experienced that too, where you know, sometimes my earnings, like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a coach, and like I don't have a fixed income, which is actually a very big blessing because it allows a lot of freedom. And sometimes when I tithe to the church, there's like this idea, well, what happens if I have a bad month or something? That's just separation consciousness. There's also some artwork that I want to put in our apartment, and I decided to just save up for that rather than like so that I can comfortably give to the church, and things like that. So it's really, I really like what they shared when they said that your goals and the church's goals are one. And so put first things first, right? Like the church's goals are very important, and it's what I desire. Like it puts the big rock into the jar first, and then all the other rocks come after. I think that's a really good analogy. If you ever saw that like TED talk, putting rocks in the jars, you can look that up, I suppose. But it's a great one. So yeah, I really do trust that.
Yeah, I also had like a few months where I was like, can I actually afford tithing still? And, you know, in my mind, I was thinking that, well, these Americans, they only have so little tax to pay, you know, taxes to pay. And we Europeans, we have usually higher rates in like taxes, or at least that's in my mind, that's how I see the world. And I was like, well, maybe I should tithe after the taxes, you know? And then I did that, but now I finally understand again, well, it's appropriate to tithe before the taxes and to fully trust God to provide you with everything that you need. And looking back, God always provided for me perfectly. And I think there have been months where I got exactly the amount of money I need to pay all my bills, to have everything covered, and even a little bit extra on top, including the tithes, of course. You know, so I already have empirical proof that you're always safe, even when you pay 50% or 40% taxes on your stuff. And I want to speak to one part of Pooja's question, and that is where she was asking that, you know, she doesn't want to be greedy. How to go ahead with this without being greedy, because in a way it feels that if I want to give, I'm asking for money. It must be done, as Jeff and Shaleia are saying, with pure intentions, not in expectations of receiving more. And what I want to say to that is it's safe to release the fear of giving with impure intentions, because I think, you know, your life and your interest speaks to your intention. Like if you are interested in church, if you are here, if you enjoy it, if you have a good heart, and if you desire a world based on union and peace, then you can trust that you have pure intentions. And it is safe to, you know, invest your finances through tithing. And it's not a greedy thing to do, actually. Even if you give it with impure intentions, Jeff said, you will still receive your investment multiplied back. But if you give with pure intentions, then it will be more stable for you. But don't be afraid of tithing.
One thing I thought of, oh, sorry, were you guys going to go there into and Alexandra? Oh, one thing I thought of, Pooja, is just looking at money, like healing your relationship with money, because there's a lot of judgment surrounding money. There's a lot of karma surrounding money, like societal, cultural ideology surrounding money, from families and things like that. People have used money to control, or to try to control. Truth is, you can't be controlled as a divine being. But one thing I thought of was like using the analogy of food or air, and it's almost like if you think about like needing money and replace the word money with food, which is also an energy source for your body. If you eat food, you're going to digest it, and then you're going to need more, right? But that doesn't make you greedy. It's just what you need. Same thing with air. If you exhale, you're going to have to inhale again, and it's like a process, right? And so if we can begin to heal how we see money, as just another source of energy of love, just like food or air, or you know, any of the energies that are existence, thrives on and functions on, then I feel like that would make it easier for you and others who may have some blocks to loving through having a relationship with money. Jeff and Shaleia talk about this a lot in Life Purpose class, the relationship with money, because they talk about sales being a relationship. When you pay someone for a service, you go get a haircut and you pay them for that service. You're not just giving an inanimate dead thing for having a inanimate robotic thing happen. You're actually having a spiritual relationship with your stylist. Even if you go to Supercuts, I did. I went Supercuts, by the way, is like the cheapest haircut place around. Like it's like an in and out. Like, but I went there just because COVID, and nobody was getting their haircut for a long time. It was the only place open, so I had a great haircut. Anyway, I just wanted to share about money, relationship, energy, love, and going deeper and healing that. Life Purpose class will really help there too.
Yeah, that's nice. And I not really resonate in the point like what Jeffrey said. Like, in order to be on this earth, like you need money. Yes, you can go on a place and live on your own farm and stuff like that, but that's not really being part of the world, and won't feel good. And because you'll isolate yourself from God, actually, which you cannot, in truth. But it's safe to see that money is a part of life right now and is needed. And as they shared about um, having a relationship in this way and giving, even to like how it is with the monks, like how you give and then they can go forward, they can do, because even them, they cannot do anything without having that.
Right. So it's, for me, I feel like it's important for you to feel into like the mission of what you're investing money in. And this is applying here for, tithing and the Church of Union, but this is a lesson that we learn in LPC, as Lizzie said, right? And what you're investing your money in is, it's, like what you're giving energy, and that grows into your life, right? It's kind of like watering a plant,
Mm-hmm.
This is what, like, the transaction and giving with money, this is what it means into your life. So when you water a plant and you take good care of it, you expect it to grow, and it's not greedy for you to expect it to grow. It's just a natural occurrence of your actions, exactly what Lizzie said as well. You'll need more food, is the natural cycle of life.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you have to see, how do you feel about everything that you invest your money in, right? And Jeff and Shaleia shared about the mission of the Church of Union, how it is to spread the word of God, spread love, And if you think like this is something that it's worth investing your money in, then you can do this without, having any fear about being greedy, because you're not investing in, you're investing into that mission, into that energy, into what the church wants to do, desires to achieve. I'm wondering if we have any other juicy comments for us.
I think we are pretty caught up on comments at the moment.
I have some things that may be on other people's minds. Two things. One thing that Jeff and Shaleia mentioned in their sermon, when I used to go to church, and they talked about this, I used to go to church and I would never give. I would go, listen to the sermon, and leave. And I never really thought about why I would do that. This is when I was a kid or a teenager. I could have given part of my allowance to the church. It's because I didn't have a relationship with the church. I was kind of made to go like by my parents. And then I didn't really have a relationship with it. And I didn't understand that, like at the time, I didn't understand that my money was God's money, and that that was just really a symbol of that relationship with God. When I became an adult in my mid-20s, I joined the Baha'i faith. And the Baha'i faith has a really interesting system of they don't call it tithing. It's monthly giving at 19%, not 10, but 19%. And I was always, you're not allowed to give if your heart feels like it's a burden. You have to do it from a pure heart. And also, if you have debt, like you give from the part of the money that's not associated with your debt. And I remember as a Baha'i, I would rarely, I didn't do their tithing because I couldn't at the time. I didn't have enough income. But I also didn't have a really strong relationship. I thought I did, but it wasn't nearly as strong as with the Church of Union. And where that originates is in what I have come to believe in my heart, like an undeniable, irrefutable truth in the church's vision and purpose in humanity, and it aligns with my life purpose in every part of my life with my twin flame. Like there's alignment there with my whole life, and I think that is the reason that there's no question, like I never feel like it's not the right thing to do to tithe. It's like what they said in the sermon, like I married the church, right? Like I'm in that kind of no backdoors relationship with the church because I love it so much. And this is how I feel, like that same kind of love about my twin flame, like about you all, about the community, and like there's no back doors for me. So I think that developing a relationship with the church, really choosing to go all in and finding out what this Christ consciousness is that Jeff and Shaleia talk about. What does that mean? How can you actually apply that into your life? I really feel like that's the root of any discomfort that you may have about tithing. It's about healing your relationship with the church and its mission, and that you're seeing that you are a part of it. Yeah.
You guys have given me so much love that it's motivated me to go the distance, and I feel wonderful. It's just so nurturing and supportive for me while I'm on the twin flame journey. That's all I have to say right now.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we have any other comments, questions? We are approaching our end. We have like about 15 minutes left. So if you have any thoughts, feelings, please feel free to share into the comments. And have a discussion about it. Yeah. Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like something that comes up for me now is, or you wanted to say something?
No, you can go.
Okay. It's about what Shaleia said, to be able to be with your twin flame together, to be married in the church, and kind of like not having to take that monastic life. I really love how Church of Union really promotes that, to really have that deeper relationship. And it's really much better than just being separated in that way. And it feels like, yeah, here you can be yourself. And what I love about this is that this is the updated version of the religion itself, like how Jeff said at the beginning in the service. It was like in the sermon, it was that no one updated like how God
people
is,
just relate with God,
yeah,
and there were new topics coming up, there were new concerns coming up, in humanity that need needed to be addressed and maybe still need to be addressed, you know, and the church is the foundation of, like the society, right? Because of it's the foundation of our relationship with God. So therefore, it's important for the church to address your needs, right? Your questions, the humanity's, aches and desires, so we can breach, everything that's in between us and God, so we can have that foundation in that place, and this is why I also like feel good about, donating and tithing to the Church of Union, because this is the only place where, very contemporary, like subjects have been approached, but having God at the center of it, money, parenting, like even like the topic of abortion was brought up, Black Lives Matter, and all of those, very important topics that are very current, have been addressed, and it just brings, every time a lot of relief. And I feel like this is also a reason why, it feels so good to just continue to invest here, because I can have faith that, my relationship with God here will only grow, and the Church of Union will continue to spread this word and this message, right? And I can invest into that.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me, when you talk about the relationship, that it's really about taking the relationships that you have with the church and with God to a deeper level. And, it's this, well, I enjoy the sermons and it's beautiful and I'm taking it all in. And that's a kind of like a one-way relationship. And if you want it to be a two-way relationship, you can give back to the church by committing to a monthly tithe. And so now it's a two-way street, and now you actually have an interaction going on. Now it's a two-way relationship, and that is only gonna go deeper. And you want to deepen that relationship because it is based on union, it is based on love, and God is at the center. And so it means that you open up on a deeper level to God in your life.
Yeah, I'm curious what people think about, if you're a member of a Christian church, if anybody has kind of experienced pressure to give, and what you feel about it. And what Fabian and Lentu and Alexandra just shared is from a place of being one with the vision and purpose of the church. But if you're still building your relationship with the church, and you've been a member of a church maybe where you felt hurt or pressured to give, I just wanted to know what people watching maybe experience and want to talk about that and work through it.
Actually, I can share about that, yeah, because like the main religion here in Romania is Orthodoxy. So I was like, my grandparents kind of took upon themselves to kind of show me God in that way and take me to church. And there were always like, at some point during the service, there was like kind of like a little basket that was passed around, and you could like put money there. It was like a donation. It wasn't like tithing, more like donating, right? And I remember that my grandma always used to kind of give me like a coin, like a little bill, so I can like give something, back, and I would do that. And but I never understood why. It always was that feeling like, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to do this, otherwise that lady over there would look nasty at you, or the choir will see, because we will usually stay like next to the choir, the choir you see, it was kind of like this judgment feeling, like you have to give because otherwise you will be judged, and usually by the people in the church, when you go at a physical church, so I mean, as a child, I felt very like you know, it was like a lot of like shame kind of induced into me in that moment, just kind of be like, okay, I have to do this and be silent and everything like that. And I never enjoyed that, you know, and I never, like, at some point in my life I rebelled and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You go to church, you know, because I just simply didn't feel good. It didn't feel good into my heart. And I would also like remember about just speaking about, you know, like why the Church of Union feels so good, right? And how, you know, it speaks to my heart. I know it was like this one like particular moment in my life where I, as a child, you know, I kind of met another child in church, you know, and we started like whispering and we like, yeah, and everything like that, as children do, right? And at some point we started laughing during the service, you know, and it was like a whole serious moment. It was like, oh, hallelujah, going on. They were like kind of just laughing. And then we were like just kind of heavily kind of disciplined for it, you know, like, no, you are not allowed to do this. This is not appropriate and everything like that. And while there is some truth to that, you know, like, just pay attention to like the service and receive, you know, as a child, you know, I felt, you know, I could not have joy, you know, in that space. You know, I was denied access to something in that space, you know. So therefore, of course, then I felt, you know, even heavier into going to church and like having a relationship there, because there were like all of these rules and conditionings that were just not allowed. But, you know, when I, you know, watch a Church of Union sermon, you know, I see like Shaleia laughing, how she did in like this, you know, she had like such a beautiful and joyful laugh, you know, just talking about God. And I can relate to that, you know, and a child can relate to that as well. Everybody can relate to that feeling that she had when she talked about God. You know, it wasn't the rule like, oh no, you have, in order to be with God, you have to be in a certain way. It was like, no, it's that authentic expression of love and God, you know. And yeah, I had to work through all of these feelings as I, you know, chose to be part of the Church of Union and go deeper into this relationship and in this relationship with the Church of Union. And I was so surprised, you know, like when the first, I think like when the first service came up, I think like Jeff and Shaleia like did a funny joke or something, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna change, you know, like, because I love TFAS, right? And I love their sermons in TFAS. So therefore I was having this fear that, you know, it will transform into something that I will not enjoy. But it didn't, you know, it just grew and expanded in a way that I could enjoy more and more, right? So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing that. We do have a comment from Refti. She's saying that in temples, there is a lot of fear when they donate and give, having a fearful relationship with God, as if you don't give, you are doomed in your life, or God is going to punish you if you don't. And yeah, and you know, there's no guilt in tithing. It's a very comfortable thing, and you can feel into your heart like what is comfortable to me. You know, you can start with a donation, with a 1% tithe, and just follow the good feeling there. And there's yet another comment from Pooja. It reminded me that whenever I went to visit temples or any other religious places, I always used to donate tithe money there, as they've set up donation boxes there as advised by my family. I didn't understand that before, why it was important, but now I do. Yeah, that's beautiful. And Refti is saying, this discussion is so beautiful and healing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Refti.
And I just have a memory coming up where I was in a beautiful religious place in India. It was like a holy ground, you know, and there was this beautiful religious man that lived there, and he showed us around, and then he collected donations, and I didn't give him my donation. And you know, at the time I didn't know about the truth about tithing, you know, and later on I was like, oh man, it did not feel good for me to not donate in this moment, because this guy was so happy. He's sharing about his passion, his religious experiences, showing us around, loving us. And, you know, in that moment, it would have been so appropriate for me to acknowledge that by loving him, or, you know, this holy ground in a way that is appropriate and where it is calling for love, like through my donation. And so that is a wonderful lesson for me personally, to always, you know, listen to my heart, and like don't hold back, don't withhold, but to really love back in that way.
So what you're saying is that it was greedy to not give, and it didn't feel good for you to not give. Yeah.
I really like that, Fabian. Like, I also wanted to add that it's important that everybody understand that, you know, in the Church of Union, like, there's no tithing police that are going to come and, oh, we're going to tell everybody you're not tithing, you're not giving, right? Like, it is between you and God, and it's a very sacred thing. We do keep record. That's how we're able to know who's a star seed donor or Mother, Father, Earth donor. But you do get, you know, an email confirmation when you donate or tithe. But I did want to bring up something when Fabian, you were talking. I think it's really important to be forthright about, like, if you're in a situation like a church or temple, and that does receive donations, to let people know that you will be, you know, you're asking for donations first, because I've been in situations where like it was abroad, actually, like mostly abroad, where one time I was walking in Marrakesh, and a person came. I looked lost. I was with a friend, and we were looking for a museum, and a person was like, oh, I can show you where that is. It's right over here. Let me walk you there. And then when we got there, he held his hand out for money, and was very, like, belligerent with us, when we were like, we actually don't have any cash on us. The geese. Sorry about that. That was a really nice landing. They just landed in the water there. Anyway, I just wanted to tell that story, that had he said, you know, I'm a local resident and I'm missing out on something, and I can lead you there and tell us a cost up front. It's like, it's the difference between donating in a relationship and investing in a relationship with the church versus paying for a service. I just wanted to, like, bring that up. I guess that's a whole other topic of conversation, just so that you know that you're safe to donate or tithe, that there's not going to be any pressure on you, and that it should be done freely. There's a lot of freedom there. It should be done with your heart. And so, as Fabian was talking about, he gave from his heart. And just to know that we're not going to be like the tour guide in Marrakesh who would come and, excuse me, you've been attending service and I noticed you haven't tithed. Like, that's not going to happen. So,
yeah. Thank you for that. And I think with that, we are preparing to end this discussion.
Yeah.
We
It was
have
a
it.
really beautiful discussion, and I think, like, Lizzie just provided here like a perfect ending tone. If we have any other comments that need to be addressed, Fabian, something? Nope. Then we are good to go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in After Church Tea Time, discussing tithing. We will see you next Sunday.
So, see you everyone. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.